Okay, so now it's time to add some CRUD functionality into our website here. So CRUD stands for create, read, update, and delete. At this point, we have the R, which is read. So this is like a detail view where we can see the details about a specific object here. We can click on one of these and read it. We have a form. This is going to be for our create and update. And we also want to add the ability to delete. So we're going to take care of this, and we're going to start with create because we already have read. So we're going to go into our application here inside of our project files. Accidentally opened up a new VS Code file. So let's close that out. And let's just continue with create here. So at this point in our page, instead of looping through our form like this, let's just do form and then as P, and then we'll style it later with the template. We'll just do as underscore P and then make this look a little bit better. So as paragraph, and there's a few options. We can render it as a table and all sorts of things like that. So we have our form. And in our model form, I don't want the user to be able to update their vote and their vote ratio. All these other fields I'm okay with, so let's just customize this really quick. So we can go into the model form. Let's use some brackets here. So we're gonna make a list here, and we're just gonna say, we'll just do title. We wanna also output the description. So description, and we want the user to output the demo link or add in the demo link. So we'll just do demo link like that. And what else was in here? So we have the demo link and source link and tags. Okay, demo link, source link, and then tags. So this is how we can customize the fields that get output. So let's go ahead and just refresh that, and there we go. Okay, so the voter ratio, that's hidden now. We don't want a user modifying that. And we are halfway there. So in this form, within the template here, so let's close out the models and let's close out the form itself. In our template, we are submitting a post request and we have that submit button. The form is output. All we need to do is process this post request. So if I go ahead and actually submit the form, let's go ahead and submit something. We're gonna see that we sent a post request to this URL. And the reason why that's working, we could specify the action here. So we could do something here, but at this point, I'm gonna leave it as an empty string, which means that we're just gonna send it to whatever page we're on. So we wanna send it back to that same URL here. So that's why we have it like that, or you can also leave that blank. And in the view, we just need to check what the method was. So we're just gonna say if the request here, so request.method, if this is a post, so we'll just do if request.method is equal to post, then let's go ahead and process our form. So what we can do is we can go ahead and specify the form here. We'll instantiate the form class like that, the model form, and we're just gonna pass in the post data. So all the data that was sent in, we're just gonna do request.post. So let's comment this out and let's just print out this data right here. So let's see what happens. So we're just gonna do print here, save it, and then we're gonna watch this terminal here. So we'll fill out some information. We'll say title, we'll say awesome project. Oh, it's all capitalized, so awesome project. And then we'll just go ahead and fill in some information, select a few tags, and I have to hit control, hold it, and then click on these. And that's gonna be it. So now if I submit this form, we can see all of this post data. So we can see the CSRF token, we can see the title, which is awesome project, description, and so on. So it's just an object or a dictionary. I'm not exactly sure how that sends it. I think it's a dictionary officially. So we can actually access attributes like this from the post method. I need to take off that caps lock. But regardless of that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pass in this into this form here. So it's gonna take that token, it's gonna check the data, and we have to run a condition here. So we're gonna say if form.is_valid. So this is a cool thing about model forms. Django will actually check that all the fields are required or correct. It'll make sure that everything matches up, nothing looks suspicious about it, and we're gonna check if it's valid. So we can just check is valid for the form, and then if it is, we're just gonna do form.save, and that's gonna be it. So once we run save, it's gonna create that object. So the form will save, and we will add a new object to the database. So if everything runs well, let's go ahead and redirect the user. So we'll just do return, and then we'll do redirect, and we actually need to make an import. So in Django.shortcuts, let's actually minimize that. We're gonna also add in redirect. So we want to redirect a user. So once a form is successfully submitted, we want to go ahead and redirect a user, and we want to send them to the projects page. So in here, this is why it's cool to have these dynamic names here, because all I have to do is pass in that name into redirect, and the user will be sent back to the projects page and we can see it. So let's go ahead and create our first object here. So let's go ahead and refresh that. And what do we want to add here? So we'll just say cool tutorial or cool tuts, like that. In here, let's just pass in some context or some fake text here. So we'll just use lorem ipsum. Let's grab something like this. We'll paste that in here. We're not going to add a demo link or a source code link. So we'll just select some tags, submit it. And now we are on the project page, and let's see, can we see it? Yes, right there. So what I'm going to do is actually take out the ID out of this table so it'll look a little bit cleaner. So let's take out this and this right here. And let's go ahead and refresh that. So there we go. We can see the tutorial project right here. I can view it. I can read about it. There are all the tags that we added, and I can also add another project. So pretty cool. We just created that, and I'll do a quick recap of what happened. So we'll just say second project, like that. Let's just go ahead and paste in some more content. Let's select all of these tags, submit it. There we go, second project. So this is now in the database. We have no votes. We can see when it was created, and we can even go to the Django admin panel. So let's go ahead and just go to port 8000 / admin. And here we go, we can see the project. So we are officially adding data, and we just completed the C part, the create in CRUD. So we have C and R, we can create it and we can read it. So what happened here is we have the model form. That form was rendered out inside of our template. When we submitted it, that form was sent to the view. We sent it with a post request because of this right here. We sent that method as a post method. We checked the method, and if it was post, we created a new instance of that form. We checked if it was valid, the data was sent into it. We saved it, which creates a user because it's a model form. There's a lot of magic that happens behind the scenes, and we redirect a user. So that's pretty neat here. Now let's go ahead and create an update view here. So we're going to create a function here. In fact, what we could do is let's copy this all together. So let's copy this view, and we're going to create the U in CRUD. So create update, or create read and update now. So this is going to be update project. Now we still want our form, so we're still using the same form. We're checking the method, we pass in the post data, we check if it's valid, we save it, and we redirect it. So we have a view here. The only difference is we need to pass in an instance. So the instance is going to be the project that we want to edit. So for this, what we're going to have to do is we'll pass in a primary key in that URL here. So just above our form, we need to grab a project. So we're going to query a project. We'll just do project.objects.get. We're going to go ahead and match that against the ID. So the primary key and ID are the same thing. We're going to get a project here. We're going to create a form here. In this case, instead of create, where we just create a form and render it, we're going to set instance, and that's going to be set to project. So what it's going to do is it's going to take the project model. The model has to match what the model form is for, and it's going to pre-fill all the form fields with that project's data. Now, when we submit that, here, instead of just passing in the request.post there, we also need to let it know what project we're updating. So we're just going to do instance, and that's going to be set to the project. So this data is going to be sent into this project, and then we're going to check if it's safe, and we're going to save it, and that's going to modify a project. So the template is going to be the exact same. It doesn't matter. We're just outputting a form. That's why we don't need to modify anything here. So we're rendering the same template. That's why I called it not create project form. I just called it a form because it can be dynamic. Now in the URL here, remember, we need to pass in a primary key now because we need to be able to actually select a project to update. So we want to create one more path here. So in this case, we'll just do path, and we'll just do update-project / and then we're going to use a string. So remember to close that, do the 2 angle brackets here, and we're just going to do str, and we're going to pass in pk. So whatever you named it right here, make sure that's the same name in the view. So we're going to create that route. In here, we're just going to do views.updateProject. Let's go ahead and give it a name. We'll just call this update dash project. And let's go ahead and add in a comma there. And there we go. So update project and create project. The difference in update is we're passing in an ID and we have to get that project and pass it into the form. So let's save all of this. And in projects here, what I'm going to do is on these iterations here, I'm actually going to add in another field into the table because I want to be able to click on any one of these projects and edit it. So in this case, let's go ahead and create another column here. We'll leave that empty. And then down here, let's copy this table and let's do it on the inner one right here. So this will be to view and then this one will be to edit. So in here, we'll just do update dash project. So that's what we call the URL right here. That's the name. So we're just taking that. And then we still want to pass in the project ID into this route. So let's save that and let's make sure everything is working. So if I refresh that, now we have the edit link. So if I click on e-commerce website, look what happens. So I click on it, all the data is pre-filled. And if I want to modify something, let's go ahead and write something like updated. And look at that. Now if I view it, we see it's updated and I can modify any one of these now. So let's go ahead and re-edit that and we'll just go ahead and remove that. And there we go. So I hope that makes sense. In the view, we're just getting the project now, putting it in the form, saving it, and that modifies it. So the last route we need to create is going to be to delete a form here. So let's do this. Let's actually take edit right here. Let's put that, let's put it between view and edit. And for this, for the URL, because we haven't created it yet, let's go ahead and remove that. And let's just write delete. So this is going to give us the ability to delete a specific project. So at this point in our page here, we can't do anything with this, so we don't have anything there yet. So what we want to do here is actually create a template. And when we click delete, rather than just magically deleting it, we want to create some kind of confirmation page that says, are you sure you want to delete this object? And whatever that is, we'll confirm it. Once we hit submit, it'll actually delete it. So let's just go ahead and say delete underscore object. So we're going to use this for multiple pages. And that way we can use the same template rather than having to create a different template when we're adding in skills and tags and so on. So for this, let's go ahead and extend the main template. So we're just going to do extends. And then in quotes here, let's just do main.html. And then we want to create the block tags here. So block content. And then we're just going to do end block here. End block like that. So because we are not using JavaScript, we need to use a form in order to submit a post request. I don't know any other way to do that without using JavaScript or without using a form. So let's go ahead and create a form here. And this form is basically going to confirm a deletion for us. So we're just going to do input here. And this value is going to be a submit value. And let's go ahead and we actually need to set the type here. So let's just do type. This is going to be submit. And then the value itself, we'll just output the text in the button here. And this is going to say confirm. So yes, we want to delete this item. So we're just going to say confirm like that. And then we also want to create some kind of back button too. So in this case, we're going to use the button tag here because I want it to look like the input field. And then inside, let's just create a link here. And we'll just say href. And then we want to go back to the projects page. So let's just do this, set up a URL here. And if a user doesn't want to delete a project, they change their mind, we want to send them back to that page. And in this case, let's actually wrap the entire button inside of the tag rather than putting that in the button. So that might look a little bit funny. So let's just go ahead and make sure that looks good here. So we have a link wrapping a button. So in the button here, I'm actually just going to go ahead and say go back like that. Okay, so in here, let's just go ahead and output some text here, and we'll just say, are you sure? We'll just say, are you sure you want to delete, and then whatever the object was. So are you sure you want to delete? And then we'll pass in the object as a variable, and then let's put it in quotes here. So we're going to pass this in. Let's create some space here, and we'll just say object. Okay, so we have our template. let's go ahead and route this first, and then we'll actually go through this process. So inside of our views here, this is called delete object.html. And let's actually call it delete template, because this is simply a template for all these pages. So we'll just say delete template. So now inside of our view, we need to create a route for that. So we'll create this from scratch. We'll just create a function-based view, and this is going to be delete project. Pass in request here, and we want to know what project we're going to delete. So we're going to pass in the primary key, so we're going to have to use that method, and we're just going to return our template here, so render, and we'll pass in request. And a lot of this is going to be repetitive at this point. That's good, because it's going to burn into your brain here, so you'll remember it. So we'll go into projects /delete _template.html. So let's pass in the context dictionary, and we'll create this in 1 second. Let's go ahead and do context. And we want to pass in the object. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to say project is going to be equal to project.objects.get. So we just want to get a specific object, the one that we want to delete. So that's going to be objects like that .get. And then we want to get it by its ID. So the primary key, that's going to be passed in the URL here. And then in the context dictionary, because in the template we're referencing it as object, because this is going to be used for multiple items here, we're going to pass it in as object, and then the object will be the project. So we're going to have multiple delete routes. So we query the object or the project, we pass it into the context dictionary as object, we pass it into context here, and I misspelled something. So template like that. And now what we want to do is create the URL. So it won't delete it just yet, but we want to go to the next step here. So let's copy this one right here. So update, and we'll create some space here. So in this case, we're just going to call this delete, and then this will be delete project. And then the name itself will be delete like this. So now we have a view. We have a URL path here and a name for that, and we have a template. So inside of projects, I'm going to copy delete project here. Let's go ahead and create that URL route for that delete link. So in here, let's go ahead and use the URL tag in quotes here, pass in delete project. We do need to pass in the project ID outside of the quotes there, so project.id. Okay, so a lot of repetitive stuff here. But let's go ahead and make sure everything's working. This link should work now. So if I go to second project, delete, the template does not exist. So projects, delete template. What happened here? Delete. Oh, it looks like I spelt it wrong here. So if you notice that, just go ahead and fix that. Okay, so delete template. Let's make sure I spelt that right. Let's try that one more time. Reverse for project not found. So in the template, we want to send the user back to the projects page. So it needs an S there. Okay, so here we go. So if we go to delete a project, let's go back to the home page. So let's delete Code Sniper. If I hit delete, it says, are you sure you want to delete Code Sniper? We can go back here, and it looks like the backlink is not working. So projects, is that not working? Let's see, URL projects. It should send us back, and it looks like we have some weird line here too. And I probably should add a / there. So let's see what's going on here. This link should send us back, or maybe it's just how I did this. So let's actually just remove this button. We'll style this later. That kind of looks weird there. So we'll just remove all of that right there. Save it, and then let's see what's going on here. So if I click go back, there we go. It sends us back to the project page. I can go to portfolio website, delete it. Are you sure you want to delete the portfolio website? So for this, all we need to do is finish this request here. So we do need to send a post request. So let's set the method. This will be post, and we're not going to add an action, or I guess for those of you that want to see it, we're going to leave it as an empty string. Otherwise, we can just add in that delete route. It's not going to affect anything at this point. So let's go ahead and go into our view, and we're just going to say if the request method is post, so if request.method is equal to post, we'll just do post like that. Then let's go ahead and delete the project. So we already queried the project. We're going to add that in here, and we'll just do project.delete. And this will delete it from the database, and we want to redirect our user. And then we're just going to use that redirect method right here, and we're going to send the user back to the projects just like we did here. So we'll just put that in quotes, projects, and that should be it. So let's go ahead and try this. So we'll go back here, or we'll confirm it. My routing's a little bit weird. So let's start from square one. We'll go to port 8000, and it actually, no, it didn't delete it yet. So let's go ahead and go to delete. If we hit confirm, and we forgot a CSRF token in our form. So every time we're submitting a form, we want to add that. So let's use that tag, and we'll just do CSRF underscore token. I always forget some little things like that. Let's try that one more time. So we'll go back to our main route, refresh it. Let's delete second project. And there we go, that's gone. Cool tuts, we can delete that. And now we're back to our original. So let's add a project here. So we'll just create some information. We're about to delete it anyways. Now we see it, we can update it. We'll just go to updated. There we go. And we can remove it. So that's it. So we just completed our basic CRUD functionality. This is where things are starting to get fun here. So we can actually modify data, we can add data. And what we're gonna do in the next video is we're gonna start configuring our static files, and then we're gonna start prepping to actually style this website to make it look more like what we want it to be. Because at this point, we just have HTML here, so we wanna actually be able to use CSS, and then later down the road, if you wanna add in JavaScript and so on, we can use that. And one thing to take note of is we're not submitting any image with that project. So we will add that field, and we will have to modify that form a little bit to actually send in data like that. So any kind of files that are submitted, we need the form to handle that.